Hey guys, welcome back to Sweet Beat TV. I'm your host, Sienna Leone, and today I am so excited to say I'm joined by director of A Man Named Scott, Robert Alexander. Hi, Robert, how are you?
I'm good, good. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me today. And first off, Robert, major congratulations on A Man Named Scott. How does it feel that it's finally out?
I feel good. To be honest, it's been a really, really long process. I mean, we started this project in 2019 in Tokyo. I never imagined that it would go on the journey that it did. Like a lot of projects, especially in kind of a kind of hybrid documentary narrative, weird art film that it is, it's taken a lot of different paths, you know what I mean? But I'm super happy with where it ended up. And, Cudi's super happy with it, which is the most important thing for me, just as he is someone that I just love and admire, and I'm just super happy. It is what it is, and people are going to be able to get to see it.
Absolutely. Now, Robert, I need to know, how did this project on Kid Cudi approach you?
hmm Well, I think Complex was working on something to look at his first album. I think it was coming up on the 10-year anniversary of his Man on the Moon 1 album, and they wanted to do something to commemorate that. And then they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to direct something. We started working on it, and I slowly started thinking of it way bigger than, just an album, just looking at an album. I said, this is a film about an artist's journey, creative process, and kind of the sacrifice it takes to put so much of yourself out there. And then kind of what that means to not only yourself, but your audience, and how all that plays together. So it's something that started as one thing and evolved into something else.
Now, how would you say this story on Kid Cudi is something different than what we've seen on the screen before about other artists telling their story?
Yeah, it's incredibly important for me when I make a film that it feels incredibly relatable and it's something that you can connect with. So, there's not a lot of certain fine detail that people may follow, like in the press, of an artist, like beef that they have or falling out with their label or that sort of thing. For me, it was so important to talk about his choices as a creative person in a way that if you yourself are creative, whether you're bigger than Cudi or smaller than Cudi, as far as fame and success, it's like you can connect with that and you can have a real sense of belonging in that. So, I think my approach was to make it more about just a human story that we can all understand versus a superstar that you feel so disconnected from.
Absolutely. Perfectly said. Now, what would you say, Robert, Kid Cudi means to our generation, people watching him?
When he first started, Cudi was unapologetically himself. And that was what was presented to us as listeners of his art. But I think that was an incredibly hard thing to do. And it takes a lot of sacrifice to say, I'm going to be incredibly honest and open about my highs and my extreme lows. And I think he kind of opened the door to allow people to feel safe expressing themselves. And I think, and you see the results of that today. And what was great is a lot of these characters that were in the film of Kanye, and clips that we have of Travis Scott, talking about the influence that Cudi had on them to, be self-expressive.
Right. I mean, speaking about some of those artists we see in this, I mean, aside from Cudi you work with, you get to sit down and interview some leading artists in both the music and film industry. So who would you say, again, aside from Cudi, was another surreal interview for you that you kind of sat down and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. I get their perspective.
The most surprising conversation I had was with Willow Smith. She's just profound, to be totally blunt. I was very caught off guard. And obviously with a film, there's only so much you can put. And every one of these conversations that I had were, it's a really testament to Cudi that these people were willing to give at least an hour and a half. Sometimes these interviews were 2+ hours long. And Willow was so great in how she could understand the human condition, and understand what we're all going through as artists. And to me, that was so important because that was like the heart of the film for me. The heart of the film for me was to be able to present a world where you can be safe trying to figure things out. And it's okay if you're not perfect in that journey. And she just articulated so beautifully. So she was the one person that I was just a little caught off guard with.
Yeah, she's incredible. I mean, you hear her talk and you're like, how old are you?
She's so young. Exactly
Forget.
right. She's super, super young, you know?
Absolutely. Now, for the viewers at home, after they watch A Man Named Scott, what do you hope as a director, they take away from this and most importantly, they learn about Kid Cudi through this?
Well, I think learning about Kid Cudi, I think it's just again that he's human, and it takes a lot of sacrifice to make something that you feel like is the best representation of you as a person, you creatively, and to be comfortable with that journey, because it is a long one, and if you really want to do something that's culture shifting and evolving and changes the way people think, it takes so much out of you.
Right.
And that's a communal thing, right? Because for me to give so much, like I have to be able to reciprocate that back. So it's like you want your audience to appreciate that and love it for what it is, and be able to give you that support. And also, like honestly, the intention of making this film was to make a power song. So like when you go to the gym and you're like not feeling your best and you put on that song that pumps you up, I wanted this to be a power film that you watch it and you take away its content and its substance, but down the line, because hopefully I feel like because of what I try to do with it visually and emotionally, is that it can just play for you and you can use that as like a motivator for anyone who's just doing creative work.
For me, I mean, I think you did a perfect job in that with your film. I mean, for me, I couldn't stop watching. Like I would, if I was busy doing something, I would want to watch what was being said, who was talking, what was being previewed on the film. So you did such a perfect job in that. And it's a really beautiful story on Kid Cudi. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. That really means a lot. Thank you so much for honestly taking the time to watch it.
But last question for me, Robert, before I let you go. But for the kids that are going to be watching this and, they've had the conversations with their parents that say, I want to be normal. What would you say to those kids?
I mean, there is no normal. I think that's the most important thing. Like we don't have to fit in. I think there's a couple of different things. That one is like there's a tribe for everybody. You just gotta, but you have to be open to find it. You have to be open to find it, and people on the other end have to be open to receive it. So I think that's incredibly important. And that, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but I want people to be able to relate to Cudi, and I want them to be able to relate to Kanye and to A$AP Rocky and to Jaden Smith to say, we're all just people and we're all just trying to find our own path, and it's not perfect. And we're not this, beautiful, amazing, perfectly sunlit human being. We're not all that all the time. So, there is no normal. And that's what's beautiful about people, is that we are all these different spaces and ideas and feelings and emotions, and it's all beautiful.
Absolutely. And hey, find your tribe. Am I right?
Absolutely. So important, so important, so important.
There you go. Robert, thank you for your time. And again, major congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thanks so much.
And everyone at home, make sure you are checking out Robert Alexander's new project on Prime Video called A Man Named Scott, out November 5th. Also, be sure to be giving this video a big thumbs up and subscribing to Sweetie High down below. As always, everyone, I'm your host, Sienna Leone, and I will see you guys next video. Bye, everyone.